say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, thank you. First of all, once again, we thank you all. And individually as well, for the co-creation of this interaction, the allowance of this transmission, and the creation of a stronger link and a bridge between our respective realities. We would like to begin this transmission with a reminder that we have titled it, Going Mad. Mass agreement dissociation. Now, what does this really mean? Obviously, when you have agreed to participate in this physical reality on your planet of Earth, you came in knowing that there would be certain parameters, certain rules, certain conditions, certain concepts and ideas that would be germane to the Earth plane, to the idea of having a physical incarnation in the Earth reality. And therefore you agreed to abide by those general rules, especially the ones that simply define on the most basic level what the reality experience is that you call physical. However, you know, as we have said many times, that physical reality is just a projection of consciousness. In a sense, as we have reminded you, you actually never really leave spirit. That's your natural state. But in a sense, while you are still in spirit, while the greater you is still in spirit, you are dreaming that you're not. That's what physical reality is. It's a focused dream in spirit that you're not in spirit anymore. But you are. You never leave it. Nevertheless, while you are experiencing that physical dream, you focus yourself, you limit yourself, you forget yourself, so that you can have the experience of remembering who you are from a new point of view. Remember that if you exist only in a timeless state, there is no opportunity for change, growth, discovery of a different perspective. So you create this focus called physical reality in order to be able to discover yourself from a new point of view, in order to change, in order to grow, in order to have a different idea of who and what you are as a being. And when you enter the idea of a mass consensus agreement, as we said, you will all agree that certain things will be common for most of you. But in this day and age of transformation on your planet, the things that used to be common for the majority, the vast majority of you, are now not necessarily needing to be as rigidly adhered to. You can begin to break away, you can begin to experience that the mass consensus is in some sense softening a bit. You can now begin to awaken to more remembrance and understanding that physical reality is just a dream. And most importantly, you can begin to realize that you can create the life you really prefer to have. Now, when we talk about the idea of dissociating from the mass consensus, please understand, we're not talking about breaking the laws or doing things to other people in any way, shape, or form that prevents them from doing what they need to do. This is not what we're referring to. The idea is to allow the synchronicity that begins to occur when you truly are in alignment with your true vibration, when you're following your excitement and living your passion, to allow the synchronicity that naturally results from that to demonstrate to you, to show you, to guide you as to what path actually works for you and everyone else, that will allow you to express yourself more fully and to become the person that you truly prefer to be in this day and age of transformation. So let us give a little bit of an example here of what we mean. Obviously, most of you are not going to let go of some of the very fundamental, the very basic mass agreement rules and conditions of playing the physical reality Earth game. For example, 99.99999999999999999% of you will most likely not give up on the idea that there is gravity. So please, when you understand the idea of dissociating from the mass consensus, it would not necessarily be wise for most of you to go walking off a cliff thinking that you're going to float, because most of you won't. Of course, unless you hit the bottom of the ravine, and then you'll float out of your body, if that's what you prefer. Nevertheless, while still adhering to many of the consensus agreement parameters of what it means to experience a physical reality on the earth plane, there is a lot of leeway now as to how you can experience that and what you can do with those rules and regulations and how you can play within the overall game, your own game, more fully, more freely, with more fun, more freedom. This analogy, perhaps, can be best described by the game you know as chess or checkers, where you know that if you have decided to play chess, you're going to have to play by certain rules, or it's not the game of chess. So you will play on a chess board. You will use some kind of pieces that have certain kinds of moves that are laid out and described by the rules as to what the rules of chess are. However, there's a lot of freedom in those pieces. There's a lot of freedom in how you play, the strategies that you use, even what the pieces themselves may be. You can play with what you would call traditional chess pieces. You can decide, as long as the person you're playing with agrees with you, to play with coins, to play with jelly beans. It doesn't really matter, as long as you know what moves you are assigning to those pieces and what they represent to you. You can change what the pieces are to almost anything you would like them to be. So too in life, even while playing the game, is there a lot of freedom in exactly the piece you describe yourself to be, how you move on the board, what strategies you use to move through the game, how you experience those particular moments of interaction and outcome, really is left up to you. Play the game of chess you will, but there are an infinite number of ways to play, an infinite number of kinds of pieces you can play with, an infinite number of ways to describe yourself as a chess player, and what kind of game you are playing on that chess board as a chess game. So it's time to open up and be a little bit more free, or a lot more free, with how you see yourself within your relationship to the mass consensus, and how you also choose to define your individual agreements within the consensus agreement, so that you can experience the amount of dissociation from the mass agreement that is relevant for you, to allow you to live your life in the most ecstatic way possible, because that is allowed for you. Nothing that you have ever been taught about the rules and regulations that the mass consensus has agreed to need to prevent you from truly experiencing a life of ecstasy. Many people on your planet have been taught for thousands of years and many generations that you can't do this and you can't do that, and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. And while some of that advice may be beneficial, and may even be to the benefit of making sure that you don't kill yourself while on Earth, a lot of it really has more to do with social ideas and outdated and outmoded understandings and medieval mindsets and things that are no longer relevant for your world as you expand your consciousness and understand what it means to be an aspect of creation. So it's really up to you to unlock yourself, to let go of outdated definitions of who you believe you can be, or who you've been taught to believe you cannot be or should not be. For if you have within your beating heart the burning desire to know that you are more, the burning desire to express that ecstasy on your planet, then that fire is lit within you for a reason, and that fire is representative of the flame of creation itself, and giving over to it will guide you unerringly by carrying your own light along the path that will be highly illuminated for you, where everything will become clear, as long as you stay in alignment with your true frequency by acting on your highest passion. So when people tell you when you attract into your life those who are the naysayers, please do remember, as has already been said many times on your planet, all the great changes that have ever occurred on your world are usually the product of a single individual vision. And then eventually the mass consensus starts to come around. There is a saying on your planet: truth goes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Then it is violently opposed. And then it is finally accepted as self-evident. So weather the storms that may come when you are standing tall in your own truth, for they will pass. They will pass. And you can stand as an individual beacon lighting the way for others to show them by your actions, by your demonstrations, by your examples, that they too might also benefit from standing tall. And when there are those that tell you you're standing too tall, you're rising above the crowd, that is hubris, that is arrogance. Don't believe them necessarily. It's always wise to take stock of yourself and make sure that you're not falling into your negative ego. But if you have determined for yourself with an honest self-examination that standing as tall as you do is the result of and representative of the idea of being who you are and expressing your passion, then remain that tall and let others rise to meet you. Don't lower yourself to meet them. For if you do, all you're doing is reinforcing the negative consensus that says no one is capable of achieving those heights. Show them that it is possible, and whether they choose to match those heights within themselves or not is not the point. At least you have provided an example that they can. And thus you have lightened the world's ability to choose something that may be more representative of who and what they truly are. And that's all you really need to do. We remind you that when we talk about the idea of dissociation from the mass agreement, that this is highly connected to the concept that we have discussed many times of acting on your highest passion to the best of your ability with absolutely no insistence or assumption as to what the outcome ought to look like. That third part is one of the parts that most people on your planet often conveniently forget. Nevertheless, when you do that, you activate the complete kit of excitement, which contains the tools of all the support you need in whatever form it needs to come. It becomes the driving engine of your life. It becomes the organizing principle of your life that lets you know what you need to do, when you need to do it. It becomes the path of least resistance that allows you to really flow through life in an effortless way. It becomes the path that leads to all other expressions of excitement that are relevant for you to experience in your life. And it becomes the reflective mirror that reveals to you what you may be holding on to in your unconscious mind that might be out of alignment with your excitement, so that by becoming aware of it consciously, you can deal with it, you can let it go and add its energy to your overall excitement. And once you have allowed the complete kit to serve you in that way, then whatever circumstance or situation crops up from the actions that you have taken in alignment with your excitement, all you need to do from that point forward is always make sure that you are defining that situation, no matter how it looks, in a positive way so that you can get a positive and beneficial effect from it. No matter how the situation may have initially been generated, no matter what anyone else's opinion in the same situation may be, if you define the situation in a positive way, that will be the effect that you get in your life, regardless of the effect anyone else may get out of the very same situation by defining it negatively, because all things serve double duty, as we have said many times. So these are the 11 elements of excitement, where you act on your highest excitement every moment that you can, to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further, with absolutely zero insistence or assumption of what the outcome ought to look like or how you're going to get there. And that opens up the 6 elements of the kit that we just named. And then the last 2 are your choice of whether to assign a positive or a negative definition to what situation crops up when you have taken those actions. That's it. That's the entire formula. It always has been, it is now, and it always shall be. The entire formula for living your life in the most effortless way And acting on this formula and allowing this formula to work for you in an automatic and immediate way is what will allow you to naturally start dissociating from the mass agreement in the most relevant and natural way for you. Because creation knows exactly who and what you are by your frequency. And it will always be capable of giving and flowing to you all those things that are relevant for you. Always. Remember, the things that are relevant for you are always flowing to you. If you're not perceiving them, it's not because they're not flowing to you. It's because you're keeping them away with your beliefs, with your definitions that are out of alignment with who you truly are. So the idea of manifesting things that are relevant for your true core frequency is not an issue of having to make them happen. It's an issue of allowing them to happen, of letting go of the things that are not relevant for you and letting in the things that are. Because the things that are relevant will always be in alignment with your truth, with your joy, with your passion. Always. That's the definition of relevance. Because it's the definition of you. You are made from ecstasy, the energy of existence itself. And only those things that are truly relevant for you can be magnetically attracted to you. And only those things that are not relevant can be repelled by you automatically. But if they're not going away, then you're holding on to them too tightly. Let them go. They don't belong to you. So, in this day and in this transmission and in this interaction, let's really get down into the details of allowing yourself to dissociate from all the things you may have been raised or taught to believe that hold you back from being who you truly are as an individual. Because paradoxically, even though a lot of the mass consensus doesn't understand this on your planet, paradoxically, when you are really allowed to be the true individual you are, that's what actually helps the mass consensus best. Because you're showing them what their potential is, what they're capable of being. You're giving them an option they may not have considered before. And that's what helps you grow as a civilization, as a society, as a species, as a physical experience. That's what helps you grow as a consciousness. So, if you allow yourself to remain in alignment with your true vibration, never worry that being an individual is somehow taking something away from helping the group. It is only by being the full individual that you can help anyone else. Because if you don't help yourself first, you're not capable of helping anyone else. Make sense? All right. So, on this day, let us explore all the ways in which you can begin to let go of those parameters, those limitations which no longer serve you, the outmoded, outdated definitions and beliefs that you were brought up to believe that simply don't belong to you anymore and really never did, and start infusing your consciousness with new ideas and new perspectives, new definitions that really allow you the freedom to be who you truly are. Because every single one of you, without exception, are absolutely powerful enough to have every single thing that is relevant for you without having to hurt anyone else or yourself in order to manifest it. That's how powerful you are. When you are being the puzzle piece you were created to be in the shape you were created, then you will fit with all other puzzle pieces also allowing themselves to be the shape they were created to be. It's only when you attempt to be a shape you're not that you no longer fit in the big picture puzzle and thus prevent the big picture from being formed that is capable of supporting all the pieces within it. Make sense? Of course it does. That's why we said it. So then, let us open up our dialogue now with your questions, your comments, and let us explore more deeply what it means to be the true you. You may begin with your questions if you wish. I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, thank you. Once again, we would like to thank each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance of this transmission, which we have titled Going Gamma. Now, many of you are familiar with some of the different frequency states of your brain, and you know that there are states that put you in different kinds of modalities, different kinds of perspectives. But many of you are also not familiar with the idea called the gamma state, which is between 40 and 100 cycles per second in your brain. In the typical channeling state, it averages somewhere around 45 to 50 cycles per second, 45, 50 hertz, as you say. And this particular vibration allows you to experience in the neurological net of your brain more cohesiveness, more acceleration, more connection, more synchronization, while also simultaneously allowing certain neural pathways to actually close down in order for the focus that is necessary to bring through information from higher perspectives, higher points of view. Now, in general, when you are doing anything that you love to do, following your excitement, acting on your passion, you are in a gamma state. The idea being, as you say, in the zone, peak performance, deep meditation, but also simply when you are engaged and involved, not noticing what you call the passage of time. That is the gamma state, also typically called the channeling state. Now, you can channel, in a sense, without being in the gamma state, because every single one of you, from time to time, will channel through the gamma state by acting on the thing you love most, by following your passion. And anytime you do, you are, in a sense, connecting with your higher mind, bringing more of your total being through, accessing information and perspectives and ideas and dimensions that may not necessarily be par for the course in your day-to-day existence when not functioning in the gamma state. Nevertheless, it isn't the only way in which many of you channel. To really bring it down to a simple understanding, because each and every one of you is a greater being than just your physical persona, you can understand that because physical reality is a projection, is an illusion, is a reflective mirror happening within your consciousness and doesn't really exist outside of you, then this personality, this person you consider yourselves to be, is actually a channeled entity, because you are projecting it moment to moment to moment to moment to create the continuity of your personality, the identity that you typically think yourself to be, which is only a small fraction of who you really are. But when you allow yourself to harmonize and align that personality structure that is already being channeled with the higher mind by going into the gamma state, then the persona becomes far more representative of the higher mind. You start really functioning and expressing yourself in physical reality as more of the total being that you are, the total person that you are, and you start experiencing your reality in a very different way, with a lot more positive synchronicity, a lot more manifestation, a lot more perspective on timing and experience of being in the right place at the right time, interacting exactly with whom you need to interact. You amplify your senses, stretch them out, and allow them to begin to perceive things that were heretofore invisible to you, whether they be just more energy forms, different colors, or actual other entities that are around you all the time that are simply now invisible to you, that you can allow to become visible by going into the gamma state more and more practicing that state, living in that state, acting from that state to allow more creative expression in your life, more freedom of expression in your life. And in doing so, allowing your life to feel very fulfilled, very ecstatic, very effortless, flowing along your path of least resistance. So practicing getting into the gamma state will allow you to truly begin to accelerate and evolve in a very different way, in a much more expanded way, in a much fuller way, a more all-encompassing way. We will thus help you with a permission slip that we will deliver during your holotope, as the holotope meditation, to crystallize in your ability to call upon and shift yourself to the gamma state when and where you so desire, until such time as, while you continue to practice it, it becomes your first nature. It becomes your typical natural state of being, and thus you can experience your life within that state, take any actions that you take on your passion from within that state, and allow your life to become far more synchronized, far more magical, far more miraculous. Because as we have said, miracles are the natural order of existence. They are not the exception to the rule. The fact that you don't necessarily always experience your life as miraculous, that's the exception. And you are now at a place and a time where you are evolving past that limitation, past that limited perspective, where you can begin to open up those senses and see reality in a very different way, knowing that it is actually coming from within you. For as we have said also, remember that spirit is your natural state. That high vibration is your natural state. You are all mostly in spirit right now, and you are simply dreaming that you're not. That's what physical reality is. It's a projection of consciousness that allows you to focus your consciousness, your spirit self, in such a way as to pretend that it is no longer in spirit, but it is, and can never leave it. So you are in spirit right now, dreaming that you're not. And thus the idea of going into gamma more and more and allowing that to become your natural expression, your natural state of being in life, with everything that you do, will allow you to begin to wake up in the physical dream, become more lucid in the physical dream, and really experience your life as a dream, allowing it to be far more flexible, far more malleable, far more shiftable, so that you can experience the manifestations that are relevant for you, important for you, that you need in life, in that perfect timing, letting your life unfold in a way that you know already works, not having to force it to work, make it work, manipulate it into working, which are all completely the opposite of what really allows it to reveal to you that it already does work if you will only let it. The gamma state will allow you to relax into that knowingness that your life works, and as you allow yourself to experience more and more of the gamma state, you'll be able to see the examples that your life works and that your passion can support you, and you can begin to truly glide through life in a way where all the things that are not in alignment with your true vibration will come to the forefront very clearly, so that you can let them go and add their energy to your overall momentum of excitement and continue to expand and accelerate yourselves in that way. So, when we take you through that permission slip meditation, you can allow yourself to continue to practice it every day in whatever way works for you, in the best way that works for you, and bit by bit, day by day, you will experience more and more of the reflections that are commensurate with that gamma state and see life as it truly is, rather than the illusions you have put before yourself that don't work for you. It is all about understanding the power of the illusion as opposed to falling under the illusion of power. So before we begin the exchange of dialogue and questions, and before we take you through the permission slip meditation at the end of this transmission during the holotope experience, we will give you a little bit of practice right now to prepare you for this meditation. And this involves your breathing state. As you have witnessed, when the channel goes into the gamma state to align with our frequency and allow our thoughts to translate through him into your language so that we may communicate with you, there is an alteration, a shift in the breathing patterns in the channel's body. This is for the purpose of increasing and enhancing the alignment of his vibration with ours, so that we can harmonize and so he can become a translator for our thoughts by allowing himself in the proper state, the gamma state, to have the same thoughts at the same time we are having them, and thus, like two tuning forks vibrating in harmony, bring through the translation from our reality to yours. But the breathing also in that state, because there is extra energy flowing through the body, and that the brain is now working on a very high level, in a very coordinated, accelerated level, it brings into the body oxygen in a very different way to flood the body with extra oxygen to support the extra energy so that the channel does not burn out. This will be part and parcel of your experience in going into gamma from time to time, where your breathing will shift. You may experience different sensations in your body from time to time that are any blockages that you may have getting out of the way and opening up to allow the extra energy through, to allow you to start functioning in a more aligned, harmonious, and coordinated way with the gamma frequency. So do not be alarmed if you experience some of those symptoms and sensations. It is all natural for you to experience a little bit of stretching when allowing more of that energy into your being. Again, in very short order, it can become ecstatic because, again, the gamma frequency is representative of you being in a state of passion, in a state of love, in a state of creativity and allowance. So it won't necessarily last very long, but we are just letting you know that these things may be part of your experience, your process in allowing the gamma state to become your natural state over time. Doesn't have to happen tomorrow. Doesn't have to happen next week. Doesn't have to happen next month or next year. It's up to you. The pace that you are comfortable at acclimating to the gamma state is completely in your hands, completely up to you. There's no right way, no wrong way, no right timing, no wrong timing, except the perfect timing for you. So just let it flow. Let it be natural. Let yourself acclimate to it in a way that allows you to feel that it is completely comfortable and natural for you. So, a little bit of practice now with the breathing. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Now, most of you took that breath in through your nose. You will still, in a sense, be breathing through your nose, but it's not going to feel like you are. Now, open your mouth and breathe in that way, through your mouth. All right, now, that's a different sensation. You're opening up the back of your throat in order to allow the air to come in and go out. So now here's the trick. Instead of feeling like you are breathing through your nose, or instead of feeling like you are breathing through your mouth with your mouth open, allow yourself to begin to breathe through your mouth with your mouth open, but halfway through, close your mouth, but continue to inhale. So that the back of your throat is still open. And it doesn't feel so much like the air is coming through your nose anymore. So that's a good trick, a good way to train yourself to do it, is start with your mouth open, inhaling, but then close your mouth and continue to inhale in the same way without switching to the sensation that you are breathing more through your nostrils. So you can open and close as rapidly or as slowly as you wish until you get the sensation down so that you can keep your mouth closed and inhale and feel like your mouth is open. Don't worry if you're not getting the hang of it right now. It's all right. All it takes is a little practice, and it will happen. It will come. So, this is what we will instruct you to do during the meditation later on. But again, if you just find that right now it's easier to simply take in the deep breath through your nostrils as you're used to doing, that's fine. It can still work, but in time, with practice, you'll get the idea, and this type of breathing will allow you to accelerate into gamma a little bit more rapidly. All right? All right. So, we will get to that. But for now, once again, our deepest appreciation, our gratitude for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance of our ability to interact with your world and see that many more reflections of the multidimensional crystal of creation reflected in each of you, which is a beautiful thing. I ask in return for that gift now, how may we be of service to you?